welcome to another episode of the Business of Business podcast. I'm your host, Roy. Of course, we are the podcast that brings you a wide variety of guests that can talk to a diverse set of topics. Hopefully, we can shed the light on something maybe that you haven't thought about, or if something's keeping you up at night, we can definitely provide some information and professionals to help you get that worked out. We want to see everybody be successful. And with all this technology and connectivity across the world, there's no reason why we can't all be successful and find the information that we need. Today, we're excited to have Rob Elliott. He is a sales and business coach, a speaker, and a podcaster. He was brought into the family hospitality business and exposed Rob to sales and the importance of community at an early age. Watching his parents navigate difficult customers and the expectation of people, while at the same time run a profitable business, ensured that when he moved to full-time sales role, he had all the tools needed. Those same tools have enabled him to become very skilled in public presentations, training, as well as giving back to the community through volunteering and raising much-needed funds for charities close to his heart. Robert's mantra is, just be you. Rob, welcome to the show. Thank you for taking time out of your day to be with us.
Mate, thanks very much, and I thank you so much again for the interview.
You bet. So we're excited. You know, we don't get to talk about sales a lot here, and I think it's a lost art in the last few years in this digital world. But before we get into that, kind of tell us a little bit more about your background, the family business, kind of how you navigated through that to get where you are today.
Look, I was born in pubs, as you know, in Australia are a huge thing, and my dad was actually an electrician by trade.
Okay.
And he was looking for something slightly different, and he got offered a traineeship back then to get into pubs, and I think I was probably 5 or 6, so I was just a little fella running around upstairs. And the dad ran and owned hotels for like 25 years with mum, and you, like any family business, you got brought up in it.
Yeah.
And my mum and dad were very opposite. Dad was a big man, gentle giant, unless he was pushed, and mum was more of a call a spade a shovel type of person. She was black and white. Yeah. So it was the yin and the yang, and it was actually great because pubs in those days in Australia especially were tough places.
Yeah.
You had to, through what you would call putting out a persona out there, you had to be able to throw people out of a bar without touching them, and they were bigger and stronger than you. Yeah. You had to make someone feel when they walked into the pub that they were the only person there.
Yeah.
They were the most important person. So I watched and I learned, and it was amazing. I don't think I realised how much I learned until we finished. I mean, we sold our pub, Mum passed away, and we got out of the industry, and I would have loved to stay in it. But I stayed in the liquor industry, and I went into a business with my father and his partner, and we worked what we call a bottle shop. Over here, where you come and buy takeaway liquor, that you don't buy anything else there. And that was interesting as well, because I was between two best mates who never should have got into business together.
Yeah.
And that's so true.
Yeah. It's interesting because that bar business or pub, it's challenging because you have to feel very welcome. I think that's why people continue to go to the same place, because it's that welcoming. And I think, we had a show years ago, Cheers, that probably was like a little bit over the top. But I think the concept is that in that environment, people want to go where they're known, where they feel welcome, where their other friends and mates are hanging out. Not a lot of people just want to go and drink over at the end of the bar in solitude.
No. Now, look, in Australia, there's no such thing as solitude. If you're standing there by yourself, someone's likely to walk up and say g'day and have a chat. You're right there. And Cheers, I actually use Cheers when I'm doing training, the actual theme to it. And people listen to it, and I say, now, tell me what's in the theme. Everybody knows your name, where you feel welcome and all that. I said, you can take that and put that into any business.
Right.
It can be a sandwich shop. It can be a bed store. It can be an accountant's firm.
Yeah.
You take the same principles that they built Cheers around, which is what they build every successful business around, and all of a sudden every member of your staff is selling.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, every time, it doesn't matter who they come in contact with. Too many businesses today have forgotten that everybody in the business is part of the sales chain, as we call it.
Right. Yeah, and we go to a little restaurant not far from the house, and that's why we go. This, it was a lady that started this business after her husband had passed away years ago. But we go in because her and the staff they treat us like we're going to our friend's house to eat.
Yes.
And it's just so pleasurable. And I think some of this, I don't know. I'm older, so sometimes I wonder if I'm just starting to talk like an old man. Like, this digital age has taken a lot of that personable touch away. I've spent. We were always taught to speak to everybody on the street. Hey, how you? Nothing but more. Hey, how you doing? And I said, hey to this person one day in a store, and they're like, well, what do you want? They were so defensive about just like a little, just a little bit of a greeting basically was nothing more. But I think that we, because on the flip side of this, we do business with people who we like, I think, we maybe see a little bit of ourselves in them, and we want to see them be successful. So it's kind of funny that we've lost that personal touch point when that is so important to the sales process.
Look, there's a mantra that we all live by, and that is people buy people.
Right.
They don't buy the product. They don't buy the price.
Right.
Yes, if it's a transactional sale, that's fine. But if you're doing something that purchase is important to you, it doesn't matter how good the product is. It doesn't matter the price. Doesn't matter the company. If the person you're dealing with, or the person's website you're dealing with, or the telephone person you're dealing with isn't up to scratch, or you don't like it, you won't buy it.
Right. Right. Yeah, and I always think about the follow through, because I think if you don't give me enough effort to even try to take my money, what is this going to look like after I buy the product or service if something were to go wrong, or if I need support? And so I don't think we think through that enough, that we know we have to give enough attention on this front end to make people feel comfortable that we're going to be there on the back end as well.
Oh, look, so true. I went to buy a new mobile phone about 12 months ago, and I've been with the same carrier in Australia probably 10 years. So there's three main carriers in Australia, and I went down to the shop, those beautiful branded shops, and it's all lovely, it's all this and all that. And I walked in and saw some of the phones, and I said to one of the guys, can you tell me what the phone is? And his eyes lit up, and he started rattling off this and that and storage and this and everything. Oh, yeah. He never once asked me, was my plan out? Never asked me what I wanted.
Right.
He kept watching all the people walk past out the front. And I just went, thank you, and walked out around the corner to the opposition.
Yeah.
He never engaged, never asked a question, never did anything.
Yeah. I used to do a lot of mystery shopping, and I would have that going into an establishment, and they wouldn't even ask my name or contact information, which was, strange, because I feel like we need to know people's names at the very least, even if I'm not going to write it down, just so we can engage on a personal level, not just, hey, you.
I think a lot of the kids today have spent too much time with their head in their phone.
Right.
Too much time all on their laptop.
Yeah.
And have forgotten the art of communication.
Right.
And I'm not saying that, what they shouldn't be on their phone. I mean, that's fine. I'm on my phone too.
Yeah.
You're on your phone. That's how we do communicate.
Right.
But if they can't turn around and communicate to people in business, what the hope do they ever have of getting married and having a family?
Right.
What are they going to do? Text the girl or guy across the bar their name, but they don't know their number, so that falls over.
Right. Yeah. Well, no, if you're going to be in a successful relationship, as a man, you better learn to communicate, but you need to do a lot of listening.
The art of listening.
Yeah. No, I saw one of the funniest memes I ever saw was this little kid laying in bed, and she texted her mom, would you text me a bedtime story? And it's funny, but it's sad in the same respect that, we've kind of moved to that point.
I was sitting, but before COVID hit, I was sitting with my wife, Rachel, down at Darling Harbour, which is the big harbour next to Sydney CBD. So it links into the beautiful Sydney Harbour, and it's where all the restaurants are, and the pubs and the bars and the lovely shops. And we were sitting there looking out over Sydney Harbour. It is one of the most beautiful places in the world. And a seafood restaurant, great view. And we looked over to the table next to us. There was three millennials. I think they spoke 5 or 6 times the whole time. They're on their phone.
Yeah.
They weren't experiencing life. They weren't watching what was going on around them.
Yeah.
So sad.
And when we go out, that's one of our experiences is, that's time we put all the phones away and we get to sit and interact, enjoy the environment and everything around us. It's so important to me. Let me just say that. It's important to me to feel fulfilled in life. And I guess I'm like you. It's hard to see people go out to eat and, they're just both on their phone texting and not even paying attention to each other. You could have stayed home and had a TV dinner for that.
Well, they might as well. I've seen staff in shops doing the same thing and saying, hang on a minute, I'm just finishing my text.
Yeah. So, the other thing I think that the internet has brought us is instant gratification. And I see this a lot in the sales process, but we used to kind of use the agrarian model, say that you had to plant the seed, then you had to cultivate it, and then you harvested. And I think a lot of times that we've skipped from really not even planting the seed. We just go straight to the harvest. Like, are you ready to buy? Can I get you to sign up? And I think that, we're missing so much in the middle there.
I think there's two sides to the story. The customers, especially the younger customers, do have a short attention span.
Yeah.
And so if you don't get them very quickly, you don't get them at all.
Yeah.
And that's the way they are. But when someone shows them as what we call a bit of love, they respond very quickly. Yeah. If you get someone who's never been in sales before or they've just started out and they get, I'm going to get this sale inside them, they jump from the start to the end.
Yeah.
They forget is what we call discovery. They forget to ask the person, why are you making the purchase? What is it? Is this important about the purchase? And you can do that in a 5-minute transaction in a shop that sells shoes, or you can do it in something that you're going to buy a car.
Right.
It just comes down to practice, and it just comes down to opening your eyes and your ears. I mean, we were given 2 ears, we're given, one mouth for a reason, and that's exactly how much you should talk.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I love that reference about the 2 ears and the 1 mouth, because a lot of times as sales, we think we have to do an information dump, and if I see your lips moving a little bit, I need to talk faster because I got to get, get all this stuff in, and it can be detrimental. I've listened to some calls that you hear salespeople, what I call run through a stop sign. And this was like a senior living community where the goal of the phone call was to get somebody to come visit. And so the salesperson was going through, and, after a couple minutes, she's like, oh, yeah, this sounds good. We really need to come visit. That's like the answer. Okay, well, if you could just hang on just a minute, I want to tell you. And she kept going. Yes. And then the customer or the prospect again said, yeah, all this sounds fantastic. We just really needed to set a time when you're going to be there and come visit. Okay. And, we also offer this she just kept on going. And so I think we have to, again, this gets back to that good listening, that we have to listen for these signs that they've got the information that they need or feel like they need. And a lot of it depends on our goal. But like in this, she was ready and willing to come in where we could be face to face. But the salesperson had a script, I'm sure, that they were just felt like if I don't get through the script, I haven't done my job.
We call it overselling, where a person stops listening, just keeps going. And I think we've all been guilty of it from time to time, especially when we first start out in the industry.
Yeah.
You just get excited and you just keep going. I've got to tell him this. I've got to tell her that. I've got to do this. Right. And all the time the person's just saying, I'm ready to buy.
Right, exactly.
So.
Yeah, and talking about discovery, it depends. I think if we're selling lower priced products and services, people are willing to gamble. I would buy a $10 product or service and take a chance that it's going to be okay. But when we start talking about, $5,000, $10,000, $25,000 products and services, typically not a one-touch, close the deal type scenario. And so when we talk about discovery, it's not only so we can, or in my opinion, it's not only so we can kind of pitch our conversation to the needs and the wants of the individual, But if we're thoughtful enough, we can get some good information for follow-up, because the chances that we're going to need to follow up with a phone call or an email is highly likely. And instead of just saying, hey, Robert, this is Roy, talked to you last week, are you ready yet? And I still get those calls to this day, but we can say, hey, I know that you go out to eat, you go out to eat by the harbor, you'd like to go out down there and sit and have dinner. We have a little bit of personal information that we can actually have a conversation with.
Look, the best people that do this are the real estate agents, if they're trained right. If you ever watch like $1 Million Listing New York or LA, they have guys and ladies on there that are different levels, but most of them are multimillionaires themselves. But a well-trained real estate agent will turn around and say to you if you're visiting a home, so what do you like about the home? And you'll start saying this, but automatically someone will say what they don't like. And people don't realise is what they're doing is they're not trying to do anything wrong. They're qualifying you. So if you don't like this home, I've got this other one.
Right.
Give us your email, give us your phone, and I'll send you over the details. And if you want to have a look at it, let me know and we can put you in. That means he doesn't lose a sale or she doesn't lose a sale.
Right.
And it's exactly what you're talking about. You get that little bit more information. We call them open questions. Never a closed question in sales. Always open. Never a yes or no.
Right.
Unless you're closing.
Yeah, and I think this even plays into if we lose the opportunity up front. And talking about a real estate, I got a great example that happened a few years ago where I was selling a house. I interviewed a couple of agents, found one I liked. She was young. She was an older person, but young in the business, and she just seemed very hungry and very eager. So I ended up going with her, and things just didn't work out. It was a total disaster. But there was one lady, one of these 5 people that I'd initially talked to, when I told her, sorry, I'm going with this other person, she never quit. Now, she never called me and said, you want me to take this over, but she would send me information. Here's some information about the market in your area. I thought you might find this useful. I think she even would send me like a recipe. This was around the holiday, so she'd send me like a cider recipe or something. But this lady dripped on me every week. And guess what?
Awesome.
When this other deal blew up, she was top of mind. She's who I called. I'm like, well, if she can market herself to me like this, what can she do with my home?
Look, 100% right there, mate. The best way to sell is not to sell.
Yes.
She didn't sell, but she sold.
Right.
She kept herself in front of you.
Yeah.
It also means that when you went to sell, you were going to be looking for something. Guess who was the first person you were going to call to help you find a new place?
Yeah.
It's going to be her.
Yep. And I think this resonates through a lot of industries that maybe I'm just not ready. I may love your price. I may love your product. But you know what? It's just not the time for me. I've got either other expensive things that I'm purchasing, or the thing that you're selling, mine is not worn completely out yet. But and so what, I guess where people, they make the one phone call and then they quit, they're not there. And that's one thing I try to teach, is that it's so important just to keep dribbling, because you never know when they're going to be ready. We can't anticipate, but they're going to go with who they're top of mind with, not remember you maybe from 6-8 months or a year ago and try to think back on who that guy was.
Well, if anyone listens, especially your American audience, Tom Brady, he was the third quarterback when he started out. Yeah. And all he did was hang around, kept training. He did the stuff before and after. He picked up after everyone. He just hung in there.
Yeah.
And when the opportunity came and the number 2 was couldn't do it, he got in.
Yeah.
And look at him.
Yeah.
You just got to hang around.
Yeah.
Without going over the top, without being a pest.
Right. Yeah, we just lost an awesome musician. He's actually from here in Texas, Dusty Hill with ZZ Top. I don't know if you've ever heard of them, but so anyway, he unexpectedly passes away, and there's a guitar tech. It's been he has been his guitar tech for 30 years.
Wow.
And that was Dusty's, evidently from what I have read, that was his last request, is that my guitar tech take over this position. So 30 years as a guitar tech behind the scenes, and now one day, they're not as big as they were in my youth, but still, it's a pretty well-known name that he has stepped up to be on stage. So I think that, the perseverance and just never giving up, but also having that, knowing where the middle is of being a pest and being persistent, because there is a fine line in between there.
I mean, if you want to, I know we're in the middle of the Olympics at the moment, you've only got to look back to the Winter Olympics years ago with Stephen Bradbury from Australia, who was sitting fifth in the ice skating, and everyone in front of him fell over, and he skated through and got the gold.
Yeah.
He was good enough to be there. He just waited for his opportunity, and that's no different in sales or business.
Right. So what is your strategy if you're reaching out to people cold? Are you more of an educator? I find myself being more trying to educate people, not only in the beginning, but also, as we go through time.
Look, when I first meet someone, I just ask a few questions, how their business is going, have they got any challenges, and I listen. And I never take a client on that I can't help.
Yeah.
But I'll help them find someone who's best for them.
Yes.
Because coaches aren't advisors, coaches aren't experts, but we're just like the coach of a football side or a cricket side or whatever sport or business you're in. The person who knows their business the most is the person who owns it. Yeah. They know how to cook the cake. They know how to do the books. So what we do is we sit there and listen and watch, and then help them discover the best solutions for what they're doing.
Yeah.
And then if we can't find it and they can't find it, we go out and find it for them.
Right.
So I like to find just one thing that they need help with.
Yeah.
And it's like, I suppose you call it the chink in the armor, but if I can help someone just fix that one thing,
yeah,
that can turn their whole business around, well, I've done my job, and actually puts a big smile on my face as well. Yeah. And
sometimes we just need somebody to talk to and talk things through. Yes. I think it makes there's a couple big larger than life personalities, Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, but what a lot of people don't realize is that they had other people that they worked with in the beginning. They kind of rose to the top and were the public figure, but for me personally, it's always good to have somebody I can trust to bounce ideas off, or, when you get down, say, wow, this thing is really crushing me. You just get a little bit of a lift. Anyway, to me, it's very important.
They've all got coaches.
Yeah.
People behind the people.
Right.
They've all got mentors, coaches, and advisors. Every single one of them.
Yeah.
Even Tony Robbins, who's one of the best known coaches in the world, has got coaches. Got a coach.
Yeah. Interesting.
Because as we say in Australia, you've got to have someone that's willing to call you out.
You're right. No,
we say it a little bit differently, but I'll keep it the polite version. Yeah. But you've got to have someone, and it can be a mate.
Yeah.
It just you sit there and talk to.
Yeah.
It can be a friend. It can be another business person in the same business as you.
Yeah.
And you become each other's.
Yeah.
And then that's when you start to, after that, you start looking for getting professional coaches in that really can save you time and money.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's an important point that you make is you don't want somebody that's just a yes man or,
no,
you're the best, you're doing great, keep on. I mean, we need that cheerleading for sure. But, if I tell you that, I want to sell ice cream, down around the equator, with no electricity to keep the stuff frozen, you need somebody that's going to say, is that really, the best use of resources?
Oh, look, I've had people come to me complaining about their opposition doing so much better than them. And I said, so, well, why? And they start making excuse after excuse. Now, it's a setup, because when we ask and use the word why, a person goes into what we call justification mode.
Yeah.
So if you're doing one-on-one personal coaching, you don't use that word. You use what made you, or we use other words. So I then turn around and say to them, so they're obviously doing something you're not. What is it? and you normally watch the blood drain out of their face, and
Right, right.
they go a bit white, they get a bit clammy because we've called them.
Yeah.
And there is always something else.
Right, right. Yeah, because like we were talking about earlier, even if you're dealing with somebody that you like and you trust, I'll tell you personally, I'll pay a premium for that because it's hard to find, and because I see a lot of most sales people that are struggling, the first thing they talk about is, well, this other company is undercutting me. It's all typically it's always pricing related, but what I say too, and I'll get your opinion on this, is if you're competing on price, you're in a losing situation because there will always be somebody trying to come along and undercut you. We have to try to sell on value. What value do we bring to this problem that we're trying to solve?
Well, look, if you want to look at an analogy there, I completely agree. Is cars. If that was the case, you would only have cheap Chinese, Kia, Hyundai cars around,
Yeah.
and Mercedes and BMW would be out of business.
Right.
So they all do the same thing. They all get you from one place to another.
Right.
But it's a case of you get what you buy, you get what you pay for,
Right.
and if it's got nothing to do with price, really, in the end.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's usually typically what I've seen. It's our messaging is that we need to really take the time to explain our value proposition, what we bring to the table, how we can help you, and then how if you follow up, what your follow up is. Anyway, a lot of room in there to work besides just what's the price.
And you've also got to be willing to walk away. If a customer's fixated on price,
Yeah.
he's going to want your best of everything for nothing. So
Yeah.
I tell people, walk away.
Yeah. I was just fixing to I just jotted that down when you earlier when you said you like to, the people you like to work with, is that it's important that we have people that are on our same philosophy level, because if not, what I find is you can make a bad customer. You can make a customer that drains your time, drains your energy, and you end up firing later in the process anyway. And so, like the price thing, and I find this interesting because of the law of, I guess, of scarcity, is that sometimes when you say, maybe this just really isn't for you, and then all of a sudden, with about 50% of these people, then they get their backup. Well, I'll prove to you why it's for me.
Look, people do attract people who are very similar to them.
Yeah.
That's natural. And you can call it niching. You can call it, you will want to do business with people who are close to who you are.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about selling a hamburger and getting those small transactional sales.
Yeah.
But you will find people in any type of service business, normally their customers are aligned very close to who they are and what they stand for without them even knowing it. And the universe has a funny way of delivering to you those who you seek.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting that, and I guess the converse of that is we also need to be careful who we surround ourselves with, because I'll let you speak to it, but typically we are the average wage earner of everybody who we surround ourselves with.
Oh, look, you are. And I've heard it so many times, you are the 5 people you surround yourself with.
Yeah.
People think it's a cliche. It's actually not. It's fact.
Yeah.
And you can learn so much if you've got a good support group around you. You can learn so much and support each other. And I said to someone, it was only the other day, they were talking about, I had a really good week and I went down to the pub and all that. And one of the guys was a bit of a negative Nelly. And I went, oh, yeah. I said, what was his point? And he went, you'll never be any good. This is as good as you're going to get. I said, dump him. He said, what do you mean? I said, dump him. I said, all he is a black hole that's sucking all your positive energy out and leaving you with negative.
Right.
I said, you don't need him in your life. I said, he's putting self-doubt into you. And that's the same in business. You can have your personal friends and your business friends.
Right.
Your business friends are there to support you. If they're not being that way, I know it's brutal, but you need to surround yourself with people who are going to lift you up. And it's the same at business. If you're working with people, don't hang out with people who sit there and moan and groan at the office cooler about how everyone's bad. Hang out
Right.
with the guys who are quietly sitting down the back, getting their budgets, having a good time, and with a big smile on their face.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely good advice. So we're getting close on time. What are some
Yeah,
other
mate.
tips that you'd like to, give out to people in the sales area?
Look, I believe in also giving without expectation.
Yeah.
And I looked at two ways. Don't be afraid to provide value to someone, even if they're not going to buy off you, because that person that may not buy off you may refer
Right.
someone to you and say, look, this guy's honest, he's good, go to him.
Yeah.
I also believe strongly in being part of your community. And I don't mean picking a charity and donating money just so you can put it on your website to say hi.
Right.
Find a charity, a cause. It can be helping out the local baseball club. It can be helping out homeless youth. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Get and be part of your community. But if you do it very quietly, people will notice. You might not think so,
Yeah.
but they look over and they say, you know what, he owns the local bed store and he's down here helping us give out meals and look after the homeless, but he's not seeking anything for it.
Yeah.
And without, you will get it back 3 or 4 fold
Yeah.
without a blink.
Yeah.
So that's just one of my mantras. And the last one is, of course, be you. Don't try and be someone you're not.
Yeah. That's one of my favorite sayings is be you. Everybody else is taken.
You can only fire you.
No, I think that, the bigger point of what I just heard you say is that, we kind of, and even getting back to the people we surround ourselves in, we really are that energy. We whatever we put out in the world, that is what we get back. And that's why it's so
True.
careful to pick that. But the other interesting thing about, even providing value to people that may not be your customer, because I hear people scared, like, oh, I don't want to give this away, the secret sauce, and don't want to tell them too much. They may do it themselves. And, my point always is, if they're going to do it themselves, they're going to do it themselves. Whatever you tell them may help them a little bit. The other thing, though, at giving information is we may actually educate somebody why they shouldn't try to do it themselves. That, if there's little intricacies or, like myself, I'm a do-it-yourselfer, but when I get jammed up, I think about the people that have helped me along the way, and I call
Yeah.
them to come, clean up this mess that I've unfortunately made.
We're all guilty of that from time to
Yeah,
time.
right.
But we don't like to admit it, we're men.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Well, Rob, I appreciate you taking time out of your day to be with us. It's been awesome speaking with you. What is a tool or a habit? What is something that you use in your daily life that you feel adds a lot of value?
I think one of the most important things is I call it taking time for yourself. Everyone should take 10 minutes every day, turn the phone off. Fine, I've got a favourite spots and a couple of parts where I can just sit, turn everything off, radio, put a little bit of music on and just chill.
Yeah.
I call it a reset,
Yeah.
especially if you're having one of those days where things just aren't going right.
Right.
Or take the time to celebrate a good win.
Yeah.
But take 5 to 10 minutes to be you,
Yeah.
to look after you every day. And I tell you what, within a month, you'll be a different person.
Yeah. Self-care is so important. A lot of us are guilty of, being givers. We want to give and give, but we can't give our best if we're not at our best. So,
Oh, 100% there, mate,
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. All right. Awesome. Well, that's good advice to those out there. So I certainly do appreciate that. So tell everybody, who do you like to work with? How can you help them? And of course, how can they reach out and get a hold of you?
But I like to work with people who are open, who are willing to be honest, who just want to improve and be better at what they do. Doesn't matter what their business is. I like them to be able to come to me and go, hi, Rob, this is where I'm at. How can you help me, or how can we work together? And that means more to me than anything. You then, after that, I say, go and look at my website, robelliott.com.au, have a look at my Instagram, see what you're doing, and then come back to me with 4 or 5 things that are concerning you in your business or concerning you in sales.
Okay.
and then we'll sit there and work through it. Pretty relaxed, very chilled, but also I'm not here to be your friend.
Right. Exactly.
So, but I mean, that's where people, you said yourself before, you can employ anyone to blow smoke to tell you how good you are.
Yeah.
Or you can sit there with someone and go, what do I need to improve? And they're very, what we call brutally honest.
Right. Right.
And you've got to be brutally honest. And being brutally honest to me is showing love.
Yeah.
And everything I say to someone comes from the right place. So that's how I look at people, and I manifest them and they come to me.
Yeah. No, I think that's the outlook that we come to you with, that, we have to be wanting that help and wanting to really get to the root. If all I need to know is how good I am, I could go see my mother. She'll tell me that. She'll tell me that every time.
Yeah, my mum was also good at telling me the other side.
Yes, all right, Rob. Well, thanks so much for taking time out of your day. Y'all reach out to Rob, see how he can help you, get your business on track, help you in that sales process. I know he'd do work wonders for you. So again, thanks so much. That's going to do it for another episode of the Business of Business podcast. I'm your host, Roy. You can find us at www.thebusinessofbusinesspodcast.com. We're on all the major podcast platforms, iTunes, Stitcher, Google, Spotify. We're on all the major social media platforms as well. Hang out on Instagram a little bit more. And then also a video of this interview will go up on our YouTube channel. So go check that out. Until next time, take care of yourself and take care of your business.